What's good, people? Welcome back to 8 Count on this Monday evening. Hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be giving you my reaction and my thoughts on the Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte title fight which happened over the weekend. I hope you're going to enjoy this video. I've got a lot to talk about. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. All things MMA, all things boxing. Leave a like if you do enjoy the video. And let's just get straight into it. I mean, this was a really interesting fight for as long as it lasted. Going in, I was meant to do a video, but I just completely ran out of time. I did record one, but I had a couple issues with the video itself. But let's get into it anyway. So my prediction for the fight was Fury to get a TKO in the 8th round. Got it a little bit earlier. Yeah, I thought before the fights there were certain keys to victories for each fighter. I thought Dillian Whyte was going to have a tough task on his hand, but if he could have done a couple things, he may have been able to swing the odds in his favour. For Fury, I thought it was going to be the jabs and the feints to really freeze the offense of Dillian Whyte, which I think we really saw heavily in this fight. I thought constant movement while on the back foot to, not allow Whyte to really cut off the ring. I think Fury did this at times. Sometimes I think you saw Whyte cut off the ring quite well, but the feints of Fury were able to really, freeze the offense. And I thought he needed to keep the fight at, his sort of pace. I thought maybe to a higher pace just to kind of wear out Dillian Whyte. I thought that would be a great strategy for him. I think we saw that as well quite a lot in the clinch. Whyte, I thought he needed to be on the front foot and needed to cut off the ring. I think he did that, but I didn't think he had the success with it that I thought he could have. I thought he needed to focus on the body and not headhunt. I felt like, for me, Fury's got some of the best head movement in the game, and it was going to be hard to really catch him clean, especially early on when he's quite fresh. And I thought he needed to stay calm and work his way in and not rush anything. And to be fair to Dillian, I felt like he did that. I don't think he really rushed anything too much. How did I score the fight up until the knockout? I had Fury winning all 5 rounds, 10-9. I felt like, for me, you saw an interesting first round with Dillian Whyte coming out in southpaw. But I actually thought it might have been the other way around. I thought Fury might have come out in southpaw just because, I think you see in MMA and in boxing a lot, the range is increased a lot when you are both in opposite stances. So I thought Fury might have done that to, get the best out of his jab and maybe stop Whyte coming in with a right overhand or something like that. But for me, I thought that you could see throughout all the rounds that Fury was probably having the cleaner work, the higher volume of work as well. I thought he was using his range really well. Obviously, at one point in the fight, it did get a bit nasty with, I think it was Whyte was in the clinch, and he kind of used the forearm/elbow to really frame on Fury, and Fury wasn't a big fan of that. It really upset him, so he kind of smacked after the ref was separating, which caused Whyte to hit him again, and it kind of got nasty from there. But I felt it actually worked out worse for Whyte doing that, because I felt like Fury had something on his back, which he really needed to go in there and manhandle Whyte in the clinch, and I think he did that quite a lot. He was kind of forcing the clinch when he didn't really need to, but he was just doing it to prove to Whyte that he was the bigger, the stronger man, and I think it did pay dividends in the fight. I felt it really sucked the life out of Whyte, which I think was fading quite early on anyway. But let's get into the fight. Yeah, the story of the fight for me was really just Tyson Fury and his offense. For me, if you're a UFC fan or an MMA fan, you've probably seen Volkanovski, the featherweight champion of the world at the moment. For me, Fury has got that sort of thing about him where he is able to freeze the offense and, get big reactions out of people with his feints. He's so unique for a heavyweight. The speed, the height, the reach, everything about him, the size. And I felt that it was probably the main factor in the fight, that he was able to freeze Whyte at times, even though Whyte might be able to get into a position that he felt comfortable in and he may be able to unload. He was frozen a lot of the times with the jab and the feints of Fury. I think Fury really controlled the range at whichever he wanted to fight at. I think you saw Whyte get him into positions where he was against the rope, but he didn't unload, and Fury was really able to get out of positions where the ring was cut off quite well. I felt like I said in the clinch, it did get a bit out of hand, but I thought Fury was the much bigger, stronger fighter of the two, and the way he was able to kind of dirty box, I guess you could say. I think the ref had a bit of a shocker. He really was struggling, because I mean, you look at the size difference between the referee and the fighter. He was gonna have a tough time. It was like a workout for him in there. He's trying to pull him apart. It must have been so difficult for him. I mean, the knockout for me. I was watching this fight with my dad, and he's going to knock him out with the uppercut, you know. And I was like, what makes you say that? He goes, oh, he hasn't thrown any yet. And I was like, all right. And to me, I was like, wow, it hasn't really been at the range where an uppercut would be effective. And then I think like the next round, you know, Whyte was coming in, Fury was able to get the jab going, and all of a sudden the arms kind of, the defense of Dillian Whyte kind of separated, and he threw this uppercut, which was just beautiful, and it was well worthy of the KO in the end. And the ref did the right thing, despite there not being too much time left in the round. You know, Whyte was out on his feet. He wasn't even in there. He was just going pure off instincts. And, you know, for me, that was a brilliant knockout by Fury. And, you know, it was disappointing for Whyte. You know, it was his big shot. He's been mandatory for so long to get the shot and ended up failing. I think it's going to be really hard on him. But, you know, all credit to Tyson Fury, proving once again that, you know, he probably is the best heavyweight in the world at this moment in time, sorry. But yeah, for me, Whyte's going to have a lot of things to take away from this fight. I think the fact that, I mean, it's hard, right? Because I think you even see in the UFC with Volk and how he freezes people. It's not necessarily that that person's bad or something like that. It's just the fact that you're so overloaded with certain commands. It's like, you got to watch out for this, and then all of a sudden he changes it up again. And Fury's just so good at that. And I feel sorry for Whyte in a way, because I felt like, you know, this was his moment, and it did just pass him by in the end. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what comes next for him. I don't think, you know, he's going to be calling it quits yet. I think he's probably still got another title fight left in him. I think it's going to take some real hard work for him to get to that stage. But, you know, I hope he does get to there, because I think, you know, he is an entertaining fighter at the end of the day. You know, hits hard, does talk a bit of trash sometimes. And, you know, it was a fun fight as well, as long as it lasted. I'd be interested to see what is next for Dillian, and I hope that he does get back to a title shot one day, just so, you know, he can have another shot at it. I think, you know, on Saturday night he came up against the best heavyweight in the world at this moment in time, and, you know, he's probably not going to be around for the next one. You know, Fury said it's the end now. It's a bit of a weird one for me. I think, you know, this fight in a way is what AJ Fury was meant to be like. Obviously we didn't get it, and for me, the fact that the fight wasn't made sooner was a travesty, but it is what it is. For me, I didn't ever think that AJ would have had a chance in there against Fury. I don't, it's not that I think AJ's bad. I just think there's levels. I don't know who I would pick to beat Fury at this moment in time. Certainly not AJ. I think Usyk would do a much better job than any of these guys, but I still think he'd struggle because of the size. And I don't really think the power of Usyk would be able to, you know, offset Tyson Fury as much. But yeah, for this being the end of Fury, I think, what can you say? He's had a great career. Definitely the heavyweight of this generation. My generation, anyway. You know, I remember watching that fight back in Germany, wasn't it? Klitschko versus Fury. And that was a weird one as well, watching that back then. But now to see, you know, how crazy his life's been, how he's been on the brink of, you know, ending it all, to coming back and getting back to the top, and, you know, making all this money, doing all these things for charity, all the stuff for mental health awareness, which I think is just great. I think he's a great role model, you know, and I don't think, you know, you should look at these athletes as role models most of the time, but I think the way he's used his platform to reach out and help others, I think it's been great. You know, if this is the end, you know, it is a sad one, but, you know, he hasn't ruled out expedition fights. He says he wouldn't mind the expedition fight with Francis Ngannou, whether that's in a cage or a ring, boxing gloves, MMA gloves. I think that'd be interesting to see that fight, but to be honest, I don't know what much different it is between him and Deontay Wilder. I don't think that Francis would be able to deal with the feints of Tyson Fury, to be honest. But you know, I think it's disappointing because I would have liked to have seen one more fight for Fury. I think the winner of Usyk AJ2, for all the bouts, everything's on the line. I think that would have been an interesting one. Maybe could have done it in Wembley Stadium again, and that would have been really interesting. But you know, it really does leave one question for me. You know, is he the heavyweight GOAT? And for me, it's a no. He's not the heavyweight GOAT. As much as from what I've seen with my own eyes, he is probably the greatest heavyweight I've ever seen. You know, you look at his record and his hit list, it doesn't compare to fighters of the past. And it's hard to compare fighters of the past as well against Fury because in these different eras, you know, you look at the likes of Rocky Marciano, 49-0. He's not a heavyweight. He's 5'11". What was he, 190 pounds, something like that. He's not a heavyweight. And you know, Fury's 6'9", 270 pounds, fast as a middleweight. You know, it's hard to say that he's not, because I feel like a lot of heavyweights in the past aren't. But I do not believe that he has the resume to, you know, of these other guys. Is he the best heavyweight of this generation? For me, undoubtedly. I don't think there's been anyone who's on his level, you know, this generation. And I mean, anyone they put in front of him, he's beaten, and I think he's done it fairly. I think he won the first Wilder fight, which is the only blemish on his record, which is a draw. And all things said, he has fought some difficult opponents. I think people like to look at the Vladimir Klitschko fight and go, oh, this and that about Klitschko, he's washed, this and that. But you got to remember, this is Klitschko way before the Anthony Joshua fight. And look what he did to Joshua. You know, for me, I think he's most definitely the best heavyweight of this generation. But I don't think the resume could say that he's the GOAT. I think if he went on to have another 4 or 5 fights, you know, you look at him maybe taking out the likes of, you know, like Ruiz, Joshua, you know, maybe one of the up-and-coming boxers like Jay Joyce, something like that, and then maybe getting Usyk and the AJ on there as well. I think that would undoubtedly maybe give him the GOAT status, but as it stands right now, I don't think he can be considered the heavyweight GOAT. You know, this is the end of the video now, guys, so if you wouldn't mind doing me a favour, who is your heavyweight GOAT? Let me know in the comments down below. I think off the top of my head, it's really hard to pick one individual, so why don't you let me know down below. If you think it's Fury, that's fine, just let me know. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. I'm definitely going to have another 1 to 2 videos up this week, so make sure you drop a sub to see when they come out. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves, alright? And I'll see you later.